Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about our unit project. Once you've used your ruler to make your lines on your project paper, and then gone over those lines with your marker, you should have a grid that looks a little bit like this. It's going to be 9-inch squares. Each of these squares is going to be 3 inches by 3 inches. You can always check it up against a Post-it note to make sure it's about the right size. Then we're going to talk about what it's going to eventually look like. We're going to be representing all 7 elements of art. We've got line, shape, form, color, texture, value, and space. It's a lot to handle right now. Right now, we're just going to focus on line. So we're going to think back to the videos that we've watched and the discussions we've had in class. We're going to do a quick little run through. We're going to remember that line is a path of a moving point. It's the most basic and fundamental of the elements of art, and it makes up a lot of the other elements of art as well. There's an endless number of different lines you can draw in the world, but they can all be boiled down to 2 types: straight lines and curved lines. Everything else is some combination of the 2. We can categorize lines in a few different ways. First up, we have solid or continuous lines. And then we have broken or interrupted lines. Footprints, tire tracks, lines of birds, those all fall into this category. While you're at it, write those words down. We also have implied lines. These are lines that we assume they're not actually there, but we know they're there. The horizon line is a good example. Lastly, we have psychological lines. These lines aren't actually there, we can't see them, but our brains make these lines based on other subjects, sometimes in subtle ways and sometimes in not so subtle ways. We're going to think back to our homework from last night, the Design Dojo video, about how lines can convey emotion. Lines can emote based on the draws analogy or anagram. That's direction, rhythm, angularity, weight or width, and the line's style. And the way you choose to vary each of these elements is going to be up to you. For your unit project in that little 3-inch square, experiment with line and try to use just line. Choose one dark color, blue or black, anything that can ultimately look mostly black, and use those markers and tools to make some straight lines, some curved lines, some solid lines, and some broken lines. See if you can get some implied or psychological lines in there. And remember to use your line to convey emotion by varying up that draws anagram. Now, this part of our project is going to be the create portion of the 4 artistic processes, which, if you'll recall, are creating, presenting the work to others, responding to other people's work and to your own work, and then connecting ideas between artworks. Right now, we're focusing on create. We've got 4 steps to create: imagine, execute, reflect, and refine. For right now, we're just going to imagine and execute. And what does that look like? That means brainstorming. That means putting some ideas out on paper before you do your actual project. Feel safe and free to mess up. It's part of the process. Whatever you do, just put something on paper, put it down, walk away, and come back a half an hour later. When it comes time to execute, be kind to yourself. Keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Use what you have on hand and draw it light until it's right. A pencil and eraser are going to be your best friend here. We're not looking for perfection. I'm looking for you to show the process, your thinking, the steps, showing the standards or learning objectives, as well as your progress, the effort you put in, the care you put in, the improvement that you show over the course of the semester. Those are things that require 0 artistic talent. And guess what? It's our first unit project, so you don't even have to show improvement at this point. You get to improve from here.